The NFL playoffs are officially underway. The regular season was phenomenal, and quite honestly, could not complain about the season at all. We had so many unpredictable moments, and now we get to enjoy the parity in the league of what is the NFL playoffs. Now, Chase, looking at our bracket here, what is the game that intrigues you the most?
Yeah, I think this is completely unbiased. The one that jumps off the page the most to me is going to be Josh Allen and the Bills traveling to the Jacksonville Jaguars for two reasons. I think this is supposed to be, obviously, everyone's been hyping this up as like this is the year for Josh Allen with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow all out of the playoffs, right? It kind of is maybe a year that would point towards Josh Allen. And so there's been a lot of hype that this is the year for Josh to get it done, but I don't think it's their best team. And they're going up against one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in all of football, the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Trevor Lawrence. It's a close game. I think it's essentially a pick 'em. I think the money lines are super close. So I'm super stoked for that one. I don't think there's a better game this weekend.
Yeah, for me, it's between them and then the Bears Packers, just because Ben Johnson been doing all the talking, and Packers Bears is a classic rivalry. I'm happy we're getting this kind of matchup, and I'm loving that it's a 7-2 seed. However, Bills Jags, I like it as well because you don't always see Bills Jags. Like, I think this is a fun matchup. Now, would you rather it be, in Buffalo, potential snow game, or are you happy that it's down in Florida?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a sucker for snow games. So yeah, I mean, I probably wish it was in Buffalo and we get to see some snow falling and it's this gritty, tough game. But I think it's fun that Jacksonville's going to have a home playoff game, which I don't think they've had in a while. So
And no
I'm
one
still
would have
stoked
guessed
with
it
where
this
it's at.
season as well, which is, again, just goes to the regular season and how awesome it's been. And I will say this, though, what makes it more intriguing that it is in Florida is I think if it was in Buffalo, Buffalo's a clear favorite here. So I like that it's a close, the lines have switched a little bit, which we'll get into some of the lines and the spreads and stuff later, but they've just been going back and forth because nobody can decide who they want in this game. But before we get into that, let's start with the Saturday slate of games. To lead us off, it's going to be Rams at Panthers, the 2:30 Mountain Time or the 4:30 Eastern Time afternoon game. Wait 1 second. Um, and this is a game that 10.5 favorites. When you're looking at the Rams, most are leaning with the Panthers on this to at least with the points. But what are you looking at in this game, and what intrigues you about this game?
Yeah, I think what intrigues me about this one is we got an 8-9 team hosting what a lot of people think is the best team in this playoffs, in the Rams, and that 8-9 team beat the Rams only a few weeks back. So we've seen how this game played out not that long ago, and maybe it was kind of a fluky Panthers win. And I believe that's why most people are backing the Panthers plus the 10.5 is because they saw the Panthers win at home against this team not that long ago. But when we're talking the playoffs, anything can happen. I'm always going to side with a team getting 10.5 points at home in the playoffs. Just seems like too many. I think I read it's the most points ever in the spread, or at least since like 2000. But it's been forever since we've seen a spread this large in the playoffs. I'm taking the points.
Yeah, and I kind of assumed you probably would. The logical thing is to take the points. Almost everybody I've seen is taking the points, rightfully so. For that reason, look, I'm upset that the spread is this big. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm gonna take the Rams minus 10.5. The last time they played, it was really close. And I think that also has people thinking, it could be close. But the way I'm leaning, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Rams are coming off 2, um, not this last week, but the 2 weeks prior, 2 rough losses, and they're gonna wanna get their get back, right? So, I actually kinda like the Rams to cover here, and I myself might even juice it to, you know, a little 20 banger. But,
Weather weather might be a little bit dicey too. It looks like it's probably going to be raining for the entirety of the game. Obviously, we know weather can change, but that's another reason I like the Panthers plus the
yeah,
ten and
if
a
that is
half.
the case, I do like Panthers plus 10.5 too, because it's gonna be a low-scoring game. Could be a low-scoring game regardless, but that is a tough line because it's one of those ones where the Rams easily could blow them out, but at the same time, it's the playoffs. And the Panthers, you know, it was a close game last time. Moving on to the Saturday evening game, that's going to be the game we kind of previewed a second ago. 2 seed Bears versus the 7 seed Packers.
So these two teams, this is going to be the third time they've played in like a 4-week span or a 5-week span, which is doesn't really happen all that much, right? Where their draw the schedule because they're obviously two teams that face each other in the same division, but they got like faced each other twice in like the last 3-4 weeks, and then they played them again. So they feel like these two teams are going to know each other really, really well. What's the spread in this one? What's it? 1.5 for the Packers.
Yeah, Packers are the favorite right now.
Okay, and I think the reason we're starting to see that a little bit is the Bears are a team where all year they've been almost playing with house money, right? Nobody expected them to be quite this good. They've won a lot of one-score games, miracle comebacks, right? They're not exactly a juggernaut or a team that is wowing anybody by any stretch of the imagination. And this Packer team was a team that a lot of people were high on before the season to make that next jump. In this one, the way I'm looking at it is the Bears, they obviously lost last week. They lost the week prior, so they're coming into the playoffs 0-2. Before that, they barely beat a Packer team that had a backup quarterback. They needed like a miracle to win that one when they didn't have Jordan Love. So in this one, I'm going to be backing the Packers minus 1.5. So I think the Packers are going to win and obviously win by at least 2 points.
Yeah, I'm leaning Packers in this one as well. Minus 1.5 feels free. A game again. Bears have struggled to beat the Packers historically, right? In the LaFleur era. And now we saw, they did get the win a couple weeks ago. But it's like you said, it took a miracle to beat a backup QB. Jordan Love is on pace to be back. He's trending upwards. I'm big on Jordan Love. I think Packers are going to be a good upset here. I wish there was more value on it, but I like being on Packers minus 1.5 here. Now that's going to wrap up the Saturday's games. Hopefully, we're going to be very entertained all afternoon and evening long. But then we get into Sunday's slate of games, and it's going to start off with a heater. Jags, Bills. Now, we already sneak peeked a little bit of this game, but this is Josh Allen's year, right? No Mahomes. Ravens are gone, but he hasn't been worried about him before. But no Mahomes is the big storyline because, Buffalo's always had the shot until they faced Mahomes. Now that it's gone, Bills, are they the team? Are they gonna do it? They don't really look like it, Not a whole lot of talent in that wide receiver core. And it's basically Josh Allen's superhero ball every single game. Jaguars look phenomenal, right? Liam Cohen, phenomenal head coach. And, he's a little dorky guy, but he coaches great football, and that's all you can ask for. But, I'm kind of going 50-50 here. I'm torn either way. Now, you said it best, right? My mind is telling me Jags. My heart's telling me the Bills. I originally, earlier on, said that the Bills might make the Super Bowl. I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to take Josh Allen and the Bills, though I don't love it, to beat the Jags and cover the -1.5.
I didn't think you were going to go that direction. But yeah, you obviously we're talking about what I was telling you there earlier. And the way that I'm kind of looking at it is, if I end up losing betting on the Bills, it's going to be, and I'm going to chalk it up as an emotional bet, and I won't be able to be like, oh man, shouldn't have done that. I know not to bet emotionally, right? If I end up losing betting on the Jags, at least I'll be a little bit happy about seeing Josh Allen move on. But I think a common theme for me in this postseason, because I think the NFL's taken a little bit of a shift from superstar quarterbacks being the ones that are running the league to super dominant overall teams. Like the Seahawks are the 1 seed and the Broncos are the other 1 seed. And they're not led necessarily by superstar quarterbacks, but rather complete and overall teams. And so what I'm going to try to do in this playoffs, and I think my strategy is going to be backing 2 things. Either the better quarterback and if I really believe it's 50-50, I'm either going to back the better team over the better quarterback, or I'm going to be, if I'm really 50-50 and I don't know which way to go, I'm going to go with the home team. And I believe the Jags check both of these boxes because I do feel like it could go either way. But I'm going to go with the home team and the Jags. When I don't know, I think that's a good way to go. And I'm going to go with what I believe is the better team. The Bills, they have a good offensive line. They run the ball well. They have a good quarterback, but poverty at the receiver, poverty trying to stop the run. I think the Jags are the better team and they're at home. So I'll take the 1.5.
Yeah, the Jags are very clearly the better team. This is an exciting matchup. I hope it lives up to the hype, and hope we have an instant classic. On to the next game. We have one that I know you're going to be on the edge of your seat for. Hopefully not stressed out, though. We got Eagles-Niners, 4:30 Eastern time game. Eagles are the 3 seed, Niners is the 6 seed, so obviously Eagles are going to be home. Man, this is I'll tell you who I got in this one, and then I'll let you kind of go what side I'm leaning on. But I all season long have been a guy that hasn't fully believed in the Niners. And now they're here, and Fred Warner's trending up. He's not going to be back in this game, but if they move on, he will have a chance to play in this playoffs. So the Niners are an interesting story, right? One of the best coached teams in the league. But Eagles -5.5. I am leaning that side. I don't love it, but I'm leaning Eagles -5.5. It's been for a defending champions season. It's been a little more on the rougher end, right? I know you've probably had a lot of frustrating moments watching this team, and so I don't know. I think looking at how it's been, it's one of those things where playoffs is going to hit, and we all know how Jalen Hurts performs in the playoffs. Now, the key to this game, Niners have one of the worst defenses in the league. In order for the Eagles to win and cover this game, they need to get the run game going. So, Saquon Barkley needs to get it going. We'll see if that happens, but I like the Eagles in this one, Chase.
Okay. I agree with a lot of the points you said. I'm going to be on the Niners plus the 5.5 in this game. I liked the Eagles when it opened up at about 2.5. I think that was a good spot for them. But as soon as you got to that 3.5, 4.5 mark, and now it's all the way up to 5.5, that's where I like to be on the Niners side of things. I think they're getting healthy. So Trent Williams should be back. Ricky Pearsall should be back. I know they're obviously having a miserable go with who they have to play at their linebacker position. But the 49ers plus 5.5, I think a lot of people are putting a little bit too much into that game against Seattle that they played. And they're relating that Seattle team to the Eagles team, where it's a little bit less to be desired on offense and a really championship defense, championship D-line. But in that game, Trent Williams only played on like that first snap. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall wasn't playing. And I think that Seahawks team is better than the Eagles. So I'm liking the 49ers plus the 5.5. I think it's going to come down to the very last minute. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. So that being said, give me the 5.5 points.
I kind of assumed you were going to go that way, and rightfully so. I agree with all the points you made. Closing off Sunday's slate of games, we got the 2-seed Patriots, who you are high on, by the way, taking on the 7-seeded Chargers. And Justin Herb, Jim Harbaugh, the boys. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, so this one, what you said the spread's 2.5 or 3.5?
Minus 3.5 now
Minus 3.5. Okay.
for the Patriots.
I've seen a few different ones. So in this game, it's the team, the Patriots, right? With, the guy that should finish second or third in MVP voting, definitely should not finish number one. You got this Patriots team that's well coached, that has this awesome year under Mike Vrabel. They haven't played anybody. They've only beat one team with a winning record. It's the easiest schedule, statistically speaking, based off of their opponent's overall win percentage or win record, in like 27 years. So they've played nobody coming into it. On the other side, the Chargers have played a very difficult schedule, and they're a tough out. Well coached. The reason on this one, I'm going to be backing the Patriots minus 3.5. I think they're the better team. I think they're at home. I wanted to go Chargers in this one, but the Chargers, they came out with offensive line rankings, and the Chargers were 31st in run blocking, 32nd in pass blocking. The Patriots, their one thing that I think is going to be their pitfall, and that's going to make it so they can't win the Super Bowl, is they're going to have to get pressure eventually on the passer, and they can't rush the passer. But the good news is the Chargers O-line is so bad that they're going to be able to get pressure. And Justin Herbert so far has not been the most amazing of quarterbacks in the postseason. So give me the Patriots minus the 3.5.
I am also on the Patriots side of it. I'm not loving it as much because I have every favorite right now, is what I'm realizing. If I were to change one, I probably would change the Jags, Bills as of right now. Maybe the Rams, Panthers, actually. But everything you said, on point. I'm also rooting for the Patriots because I am a Drake May fan, and you can only beat who's in front of you. And so I'm rooting for the Patriots to keep it going. And I just don't believe in Justin Herbert. You said it yourself, he doesn't have the greatest resume in the playoffs. Lost to the Texans last year, who were considered kind of the joke of the team to be in the playoffs, and he still ended up losing to him. So I wanted to take the Chargers plus 3.5 here, but I think the way their roster's laid out right now, I just can't do it. And then the final game of the wild card weekend, Texans are going into Acrisure Stadium to take on the Steelers, who ended up surpassing outlasting the Ravens in a crazy game last week. But yeah, this is a fun one. We're gonna have Monday Night Football here, and I'm actually pretty high on the Texans. I've seen a lot of people go, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to get it done. Sure, maybe he does. But he's also really old. And this pass rush defense for the Houston Texans is unbelievable. Now, the Texans defense hasn't playing out of their mind the last couple of weeks, but they also kind of secured the playoffs, so I think they're kind of coasting. And the Steelers, they have a solid offensive line, but Aaron Rodgers he's not going to be able to be as mobile as they'd like. And I mean, he's already having issues with Arthur Smith, rightfully so. We all saw what happened in the Ravens game where he's pretending that his helmet comms aren't working. Why, Chase? Because Arthur Smith sucks at calling plays. So, maybe Aaron Rodgers is the offensive coordinator now. We'll see what happens there, but I like the Texans to cover the -3 here.
Okay, so the line you have is at 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be a broken record here, and this one I think can be 50-50. at the beginning, I would say during the middle of the season, I thought the Texans were a clear better team than the Steelers. This is this one and the Jags Bills are the two toughest games for me to bet. I'm going to be going with the Steelers plus the 3 points here. I like how they played last week. They're getting DK Metcalf back, which I think is going to be huge for the offense. They've started running the ball really well, which isn't something they've done well the last few years. And you kind of said it there. The Texans defense hasn't been playing well or how it was during the middle of the stretch of the season these last few weeks. And I know you said they had already secured the playoffs, but they were still fighting to potentially win their division, which we know is so massive. So they were still out there playing. And you give up 30 points to Riley Leonard and the Colts. You give up 21 to the Raiders. And they needed 2 defensive touchdowns to beat the Raiders by 2 points. There's a lot that this Texans team has concerned me about. Them and the Eagles are 2 offensives that have been just absolutely struggling. I think this is going to be a close game. And because of that, I'm going to go with the home team, and I'm getting 3 points. So even if it's a close one where the Steelers barely lose, which I could see happening, it still covers. So I'm going to go with the Steelers plus 3.5. So I have 2 favorites, 4 dogs to obviously with the points are going to cover, and then you got all favorites. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing you obviously have all of the favorites winning then and advancing, right? Because you're
Yeah.
picking them all.
Yep.
Okay.
And
I would say
say
go
what?
ahead. I was going to say for mine on the people advancing, the teams advancing, I think the Panthers are going to cover, but I think the Rams end up winning that one. Obviously, I got the Packers minus 1.5, so I think the Packers are going to win. I think the Jags are going. I only got them, plus 1.5, but I think they're going to win the game. I think the Eagles are going to end up winning by a field goal, even though I have the Niners plus 3.5. I think the Patriots are going to win. I took them as a favorite. And then the Steelers Texans one. I'm trying to decide if I think it's going to just be a narrow Texans 1-point victory, but I'm probably going to be I'm going to take the Steelers to win it. So I got the Rams, Packers, Jags, Eagles, Patriots, Steelers moving on.
Okay. And I technically have 2 seed upsets, just not sports betting, but I have Texans,
Seed
Bills,
upsets.
Patriots, Rams, Eagles, Packers. I wanted to argue, find some way to argue points here, but everything that we have different, I'm just torn on. So like I can't even find an argument point because I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just like, yeah, like I could see Steelers winning. I almost wanted to say Steelers winning, but it's like I think, people might be a little overreacting to them beating the Ravens the way they did, because they were this close to not even being in. And then CJ Stroud kind of turns it up come playoffs. He only has 1 playoff win in his book, I believe, but he does perform well in the playoffs. So that's something that's intriguing to me as well. And then it's like Rams. I hate my pick, but I'm just doing it because everyone else is going plus 10.5. Patriots, we agree. Eagles, I guess Eagles, I don't know. Like I'm the same way. Like I loved the 2.5. I wish it was still 2.5. I think I don't know. I'm just giving them respect, I guess. And I'm not big on the Niners. That's the biggest thing. But do you want to predict the playoffs the rest of the way based on what we got? That might get a little complicated. Or do you want to cut it here? Or do you want to give our prediction for a Super Bowl matchup?
I mean, we can keep going. I'm already like doing the matchups now.
Okay.
The ones that would be that when they move on. So the Broncos in my scenario would play do I have all the home teams winning? I have the Jags
think
winning,
so.
the Patriots, and the Steelers. Yep. So it'd be Broncos versus Steelers, and then it would be Patriots versus Jags. Okay. Yeah, if we can keep going. So, and you can do your scenario on the teams you think are winning. So you have the Eagles winning, the Rams winning.
Yeah,
You
so
have the
let's do
Seahawks.
this. You just, so that it doesn't get confusing, I want you to just break down your prediction the rest of the way.
Okay.
And then I'll
Perfect.
just do mine.
So with the 6 teams that I had winning, I have what it would look like because the NFL does it kind of weird for those that don't know. There's no set bracket. It essentially, the 1 seed gets to play the lowest seed that wins. So in my scenario, I have the Packers are winning in the NFC, and they're the 7 seed. So that means they would automatically be the ones to play the Seattle Seahawks. And in that game, I would have the Seahawks winning. I'm very intrigued to see what the line is. I'm really hoping that the Packers kind of have a more convincing win. So that way I can get the Seahawks at a much lower number. Ideally, something where it's less than a field goal. I doubt that. I bet the Seahawks would be 3.5 or more favorites, but it does depend on how the Packers look against the Bears. So I think the Seahawks are going to beat the Packers and move to the NFC Championship. And then it would be Eagles versus Rams. It'd be the Rams going into Philly. The Eagles have won in the last 2 seasons. They've beat the Rams 3 times, twice in Philly, once in Los Angeles. They always say it's hard to beat the same team twice in 1 year. It's hard to beat them 3 times in the last little bit. It's even harder to win 4 in a row. I think this Rams team is legit, and they had unfortunate events that happened in the Falcons game. Unfortunate ones happened against the Panthers. I still think this is the best team in football. I'm going to have them getting a narrow victory. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win and kind of look how they've always looked this season, if that one's pretty much going to be a pick-em in Philly. So I got Seahawks versus Rams in the NFC Championship. Then on the AFC side, I have all of the home division winners winning. So that's Steelers, Patriots, and Jags. Broncos would be playing the Steelers. So the Steelers would be traveling to the team that's been resting all the way over there in Denver. I'm not the highest team on this Broncos one, but they're at home. They play good defense. They're a great team, well coached. So I'm going to have the Broncos to beat the Steelers. And then Patriots versus Jags. This one, I don't know. I think it's these Jags that make it so hard to know what to do with them, because I kind of thought it was fluky there as soon as they started winning, and now I'm becoming more of a believer about this Jacksonville Jaguars team. And Liam Cohen, awesome, against Mike Vrabel, 2 coaches that are in their first year there. I'm going to kick. It's going to be kind of boring, but I'm going to kick to the home team here, and I'm going to go with the Patriots to get it done. So then I have the Patriots moving on.
All of a sudden, he's a believer.
That are going to be playing the Broncos. Okay. Now we know this one's going to be in Denver. So it'll be Broncos versus the Patriots. I am going to go with the Broncos to move on. Nobody thought that would happen. I'm a big time non-believer in the Broncos all year, but I think they're a good team that finds ways to win. They play up to their competition. They play down to their competition. I think they're well coached. And when in doubt, home team in the playoffs means so much more. Now, the NFC Championship, I believe, holds whoever wins the NFC Championship with pretty much a lot of the teams that can get there. I think that's going to be the Super Bowl winner. I don't think a team from the AFC is going to be able to get it done. I think if you get through that gauntlet that you're going to face in the NFC of Seahawks, Rams, the former Super Bowl champions, this Packers team that obviously has a lot of good players, or the Bears, I think that is going to be the Super Bowl winner. Seahawks versus Rams. I'm going with what I believe is the best team in football. I'm going to get the Rams getting an upset here. Rams versus the Broncos. Rams win it all. Now I'm really torn on that Rams Broncos, or the Rams Seahawks one. I could see the Seahawks beating them and winning it all as well. But yeah, I think if I'm placing a bet right now to win the Super Bowl, it's kind of boring, but I'd probably bet both the favorites. Seahawks and Rams are pretty much the only 2 teams that I see winning it all this year.
Yeah, I love your take of the Rams beating the Seahawks. I think so too. Now it is the thing I love, and I wish the NBA would do this, but I love that the 1 seed just plays the lower seed all the way through. Because it just changes our brackets up so much more, right? So you might like it, you might hate it. The reason I can't tell is because I can't decide whether I love mine or hate mine as well. So in the AFC, I have Broncos taking on the Bills and the Patriots taking on the Texans. I have the Bills upsetting the Broncos. and I have the Texans upsetting the Patriots. Okay. Going on to
I
the
love it. 2
AFC.
upsets. I love it.
Yeah. Going on to the AFC Championship. You already know I'm taking Josh Allen and the boys. So we got Bills going to the Super Bowl. Let's make it happen. Okay. Going to the NFC. We got Seahawks Packers and we got Eagles Rams. Chase, I got the Packers upsetting the Seahawks. And I got the Rams beating the Eagles. Same as you. But then I think similar to what you said, it's a little boring, but I got the Rams beating the Packers pretty convincingly in the NFC Championship game. And then in my Super Bowl matchup, we have Super Bowl of, potentially the decade, Rams Bills, where it's an absolute blowout and the Rams beat the absolute brakes off Josh Allen and the boys, get them out of here. And Matt Stafford wins his second one in LA. What do we think of that bracket, huh?
So we both have the Rams winning. We agree
Yep.
on that, which is crazy because it's a 5 seed. You don't think both teams would pick a 5, or both of us would pick a 5 seed. The one thing that I will say about yours is you were cooking. I was loving it.
Yeah.
But there is no way you are going to do that.
You don't like
There's
Packers Seahawks.
No, I don't mind that. What I mind is that you got the Bills going to the Super Bowl and not winning at all. So for those that don't know, the Bills never have won a Super Bowl, and they went to 4 straight Super Bowls in, I believe it was the 90s, and they lost all 4. So 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Keep it going.
You're like,
it's in the resume.
That first year you lose, you're like, man, bummer. It was our first one. We'll get them next year. You go to your second one, you're like, dude, we're not going to lose 2 in a row. We got this. You're like, oh, okay, well, we lost, but we got to you can't lose 3 in a row. You get back and you lose your third one in a row. Now, if that's not enough torture, you go back to the Super Bowl the very next year and you lose again. And so Connor has
and then 30
the
years
Bills
later
going to the Super Bowl and losing again to be 0-5 in the Super Bowls. That is messed. So
Chase, let me ask you this. Would you rather your team goes to the Super Bowl and loses or first round exit?
Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you. You'd rather have them go to the Super Bowl. But
you're welcome, Bills fans.
For the Bills fans, that is just mess. That's teasing them. Like, hey, you're dangling it right in front of the baby. Come get it. And then as soon as it gets there, whoop, you'd rather at that point just be like, nope, it's not there for you. Just lose in the first round like I am. Get them out of there.
You might rather make the Super Bowl than lose in the first round if you're any other franchise.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. I don't know if there is.
Maybe not.
I'm trying to think of anybody else's unfortunate Super Bowl luck. I think the Vikings are like 0-2 or maybe 0-3 in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But nobody's worse than the Bills. So yeah, that's messed. I would have actually liked yours better if you said the Bills winning, even though I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl.
I just can't. I can't convince myself that the Bills are going to beat. Now, here's the thing. Let me see where I could convince myself. If somehow the Packers made it all the way, I'd take the Bills. If the Seahawks made it all the way, I'd take the Bills.
Yeah, I would say I would like. Yeah,
actually, I'll tell you what.
The Packers,
if
Bears,
anybody but the Rams or Eagles.
My only thing though is in order for the Packers or Bears to get past, that would mean they'd have to win some pretty big games, and I would start feeling pretty good about them.
That's true. That's why we're doing this now, and I'm just feeling good about it.
Yeah, because you're like, there's no way they could even make it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even. You mentioned like, oh, if the Packers make it. I love how you didn't even mention if the Panthers made it. That's messed.
The Panthers ain't making it, bro.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I love Connor is the man of. He loved all the favorites there in the first round, and then he said, "F it, give me the underdogs.
Give me the dogs." Yeah, this is gonna be a fun playoffs.
Packers, Texans upsetting. Wow, that's impressive. So, I honestly think this is going to be a legendary playoffs because the only reason I could see somebody not liking it is if the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl and win it, which obviously would be best case for me. Every other scenario is pretty awesome for your unbiased football fan, where it's like, I could get behind. Panther story would be awesome. Packers story would be great. Jag story, awesome. 49er story, great. Patriots story, awesome. Steelers story, great. You know, Texans story, awesome. Charger story, great. Bills story, awesome. You know, Bears story, great. You know, Rams, Matthew Stafford getting it done for a second time. Like, all of those are pretty good. Now I could see how people wouldn't like the Eagles, but obviously for me, that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I think this playoffs is going to be the most epic one yet. I'm hoping for a lot of close games, a lot of game winners, a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. And yeah, I think it's set up to be the best playoffs ever. And I do really feel like it's the year of whose team is the best, not necessarily who has the star quarterback, although I do have the Rams winning because I also think that they're the best team.
The other reason I think that this playoffs is going to be cinema is you can honestly look at the bracket and convince yourself that almost every team in it could go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no one's looking at the Panthers like that. Nobody's really looking at that's it, the Panthers. Everyone else you can make a case. Chargers. Panthers and Chargers. You're not really looking at it like that. Everyone else, I could make a case.
Yeah. I honestly think I could make a case for the Chargers. I think I can make a case for any AFC team because there's that much parity in it. Like the fact that I think the Bills
Let me hear. Do your best case for the Chargers. Let's hear it.
Chargers, awesome head coach who only knows how to win. Jim Harbaugh, when he was with the Niners, turned him around immediately. And when he got fired, I'm pretty sure it was their first losing season due to injuries. So you got a coach that knows how to win. Been there, took a bad team with Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. You have what most people believe to be a top 5 quarterback in Justin Herbert, who now has gotten the jitters out and is going to be able to go out and win. You have Omarion Hampton coming back now healthy, which is going to reestablish the run game. I get the offensive line is bad, but you got a really good running back. And I think the biggest reason that you could make for any AFC team is the path that they have to go through. Are you scared of any AFC team? Does any AFC team make you shiver in your boots? Broncos? No. You know, Patriots? No. Bills?
Yes,
no.
Absolutely.
Like the Bills, lose by 20 to the Dolphins. Like, not scary. The Patriots lost to the Raiders this season. Not scary. The Broncos won by 1 point against the Jets this year and kind of are close with backup quarterbacks. Like, all these teams, like the only team that I could be like, man, that team may be scary is the Jags. And they're led by Trevor Lawrence. So
and they're losing first round. So
any team in the AFC, I fully believe you can make an argument due to just the fact of the teams they can play. The NFC gets a little tougher. The Panthers, I will say, is the one team that I have a really hard time making an argument for. But I can make an argument for any other NFC team. Right? The Bears, Ben Johnson, team's playing well. It seems like to be their year. They're like the Chiefs last year where they win every single close game, fourth quarter comebacks. Doesn't matter. The ball bounces their way. What's another team that people don't see win? Packers. People thought they were really good in the beginning of the season. Matt LaFleur, good coach. Jordan Love, he now has experience. He knows what he's supposed to do. They established the run. So, I think Green Bay has a chance. Eagles, Super Bowl champs last year. You don't really need to say much more than the defending champs. Defense is a championship caliber defense. The offense, you think, should be able to kick it in gear with the amount of talent they have. Niners, right? They were like one of the scariest teams all up until last week, right? They would drop 40 on whoever and they'd score every offensive possession. So as long as the defense could stop them one time, they were going to win the game. If they get past the Eagles and then they go and they play, the Niners get past the Eagles and they can get the Packers to win. So the Packers go and play Seattle and somehow the Packers upset Seattle, the Eagles go and then the Niners get to go play either the Panthers or the Rams. Let's say it's the Rams. They've already beat the Rams once this year with all of their injuries. And the Rams defense, I don't think is as good as it was last year. The Niners can win a shootout. Boom, they're in the championship game. Somehow the Packers upset the Seahawks. Niners beat the Packers. They're in the Super Bowl. Sure, they'll beat whichever AFC team they play. So, you can see it happening is the crazy thing. And the Niners are a plus 3,000 in most books to win the Super Bowl. And I just created a path, surefire, to win it.
So if you're looking for a place to lay your money down, thank Chase Godey later. This is the Grid Aces show. If you made it this far, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to grow. Help us out. And we'll be back. Peace.